Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Dylan Bradshaw. We come on here every single week and talk about all things involving the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Young Money Kyle Larson. Dylan, not the result that we wanted this weekend. We hoped that Kyle was going to be able to go in and pick up his second NASCAR Cup Series championship, but unfortunately, that wasn't in the cards this weekend. Kyle ultimately finished third in the race, which resulted in being second in the championship to Ryan Blaney, who became the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion, finishing second in that race. The first time in 10 years in the 10-year history of the playoffs that a driver won the race that wasn't in the final four. Ross Chastain picked up the race win. Uh, Definitely disappointed, but honestly I'm not too surprised by this.
Yeah, you also broke that pit stall one streak that they had going at Phoenix. I know that was one thing everyone was talking about, but yeah, just disappointing. I mean, Blaney, he obviously put together a good playoff run. He was very strong, very consistent through the playoffs. Wasn't super good in the regular season, but was able to put it together when it counted. And he executed yesterday, and it just sucks we fell short. I mean, we really didn't have a ton of speed. I mean, he was about a top five, top 10 car most of the day, but as everyone saw, the pit crew just big props to the pit crew all season long. They've just been so clutch. When the big moment arises, they definitely came through. Let Kyle Larson get the chance yesterday to get out in front, get ahead on pit road, and give him a chance to win. But ultimately, he just didn't have the speed to hold off Blaney, and Blaney just had a faster car. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do. At least it wasn't something else that eliminated us from the race and not getting a chance. At least we were able to compete, but obviously fell short, and still a great season nonetheless. 5 wins, including the All-Star race win. Led the most laps this year. First driver to win over or lead over 1,000 laps in the next gen the past 2 years. So, just a great season. Nothing to really be ashamed of, and onward to next year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think Kyle kind of echoed those sentiments in his post race press conference and just interviews on pit lane that he really gave it all he had, and so did the pit crew and the entire crew for that matter. They put together their best piece, and some years you can't win them all. I mean, Hendrick had a really good shot at winning the championship, especially after Christopher Bell fell out of the race with a breaker rotor issue early. Then it was really a 2 out of 3 chance that Hendrick was going to be able to do it, but William Byron kind of looked like he suffered from the same issues that Kyle did. I mean, they kind of were both just a little bit off the pace from what Ryan Blaney was able to put together, and Cliff Daniels, I thought, communicated well with Kyle over the radio on adjustments and trying to get the car better throughout the different opportunities they had, whether it be the stage breaks or the one caution that took place in the final stage. But it just was too much to overcome. I think Blaney was just a tick faster, and he seemed to be able to move around on the track. He could run some different lines that Byron and Larson really couldn't. And I think I keep hearing that people debating whether Blaney was a deserving champion or not, and I don't think it's necessarily fair to say that Blaney is not a deserving champion, because despite the format, I know we're not big fans of the it all coming down to one race, but I think Ryan Blaney, under the format that there is now, I mean, he deserved that championship. The way that he executed, and his team, they were hitting on all cylinders at the right time, and you can't blame those guys. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think, my one, I guess, biggest what if in this race, as far as Larson, possibly getting it, is that last caution with the bush spin. Blaney, we saw him fighting back and forth there with Chastain, kind of moving each other out of the way. He tore his tires up really bad. I mean, I heard Rudy Fugle, Byron's crew chief, he was like screaming on his radio saying that, his car is pretty much imploding. Keep the pace, keep it going. You only have Larson in front of you. Just keep going. So I guess my biggest what if is just What if that caution didn't come out? Because Larson, I mean, he was gaining on him pretty quick. His tires completely gone. He spun pretty bad. I mean, who knows? But as Larson fans, the cautions they always seem to come back to bite us a little bit. But we did get that chance off pit road, so you can't really complain too much. We just simply didn't have the faster car, so just sucks. But I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting point you make there. I mean, I honestly, I wasn't really thinking of that too much. I think I was actually kind of, even though Larson was catching up to Blaney, I think there, I was kind of excited to see the caution actually because I thought we would get that chance on pit road, and obviously, like you said, it did pay off. But I think the interesting thing about that pit road sequence where we did take the lead of the remaining three championship four drivers, there were the two cars that took two tires, Eric Jones and Denny Hamlin, that came out ahead of Larson. So Larson actually came off third off of pit road while those two beat him off. And it put him in a position where he didn't have that clean air on the restart that I think he needed. I think if he was able to restart the race on that front row and potentially clear Chastain, I think Larson probably could have had a chance of. I think he could have. I think he could be the champion if that were the case. But Hamlin and Jones kind of being in the way there gave Chastain a better opportunity. Maybe not a better opportunity. Maybe it was just. I mean, I don't know. This is all hypothetical, I guess. But for Chastain to get ahead of Larson there, if Larson had cleared Chastain and had an extra blocker behind him or between him and Blaney, maybe that would have been enough time to buy for Larson to just make it to the finish. But with 20 some odd laps and Blaney right behind him, I knew I could see the writing on the wall that it was pretty much done. And Blaney had the faster car, and Blaney I think passed Larson three or four times throughout the race, so he definitely had to earn it. And I mean, to the point of the championship four, the playoff format, I guess. I think the most depressing part about it is that in order just to get back to this position again next year, you have to go through a whole another season just to get back to the exact same track with the exact same number of laps, the exact same strategy. Nothing about it changes. I mean, it's like you're hopeful that you get back to that point, but if Phoenix is Phoenix and you're not a driver that's really good at Phoenix, how can you come there with motivation and think that you're going to be the guy to beat? I mean, it's really tough to stay level-headed when that's the case next year.
Well, it's even worse next year too because now we have another super speedway. That they're bringing on Atlanta. They cycled out some of the tracks. Darlington's no longer the first race, which is one of Larson's best tracks. That's the season finale. So it just kind of jumbles up playoffs a little bit more. That's one of the big things I always complain about. I just wish they would just change up the schedule a little bit more. I am tired of seeing Phoenix as the championship race. I wish they bring back at least Homestead or just cycle it, change up the schedule a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. It's the same thing every year. But yeah, I do think it's going to be a little harder next year. Adding in the more super speedways, just super speedways, the road courses, it just makes it more difficult. And a lot of guys they just aren't tracks that they exceed at. Larson being one of them at the super speedways, obviously, but it's definitely gonna be a challenge, and it does suck. I mean, all this hard work this year and success, and it just sucks to see it all gone and all done, and gotta wait till next year in February when the 500 starts. So yeah, it's depressing a little bit. Racing season's over, but hopefully we get to see some dirt here in the off season. He has the Placerville race coming up in a few weeks, so we have that to look forward to.
Yeah, and a little bit of news regarding that Placerville race here coming up in just a couple weeks. I got some news today that Kyle Larson will be running his own midget at Placerville, so that's going to be the same car that he ran the Chili Bowl in back in 2022. I think that's the last time that car's been on a racetrack. So a little bit there. Everything we've seen since then, Kyle's been in a Chad Boat, a CB Industries midget, and going to be interesting to see him in that car. Paul Silva's going to be on the wrenches, so excited to see that duo back together. I know Paul is more of a sprint car guy and likes the sprint car stuff more. But I mean, that duo is so good, and for the Hangtown 100, a long midget race like that, I can't wait to see it. 100 laps. I know I love all the 100 lap dirt late model races. I think that's one of the things we always talk about with sprint cars that kind of limits how a sprint car race can be is they can't run that many laps. You know, a midget race, 100 laps is a big deal, and I'm really looking forward to that one coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it doesn't take too much time off, does it? That season just ended yesterday, and what is that, like the 17th and 18th or something? I
Yeah,
think those are
this
the dates.
17th and 18th. Yeah, so 2 nights there. That show in the past couple years has been a 3 night show, but it was cut down to two this year. So Um, yeah, I mean, gonna be two good nights of action. I've seen USAC has been posting some more drivers that are gonna be out there. I think Buddy Kofoid's confirmed to be running that whole entire California swing for the USAC National Midgets. So you got him there. He's the defending champion. Obviously not going to be the champion this year, but Buddy is always super good in the midget. And then also I saw where Carson Macedo and Spencer Baston are going to be hopping in some midgets for that swing as well. So tough competition out there, but nothing I don't think that Kyle Larson can't handle.
Yeah, I just hope to see him in the late model. I mean, the all tech 100K I'm hoping for. I think we talked about it last week. Been a while since I've been to a dirt race. Haven't seen him much in the late model this year at all. So, as the NASCAR season ends, I hope to see him in that before, his super busy 2024. Now IndyCar it's just a whole nother thing. Who knows what they're going to do with high limit? Could be adding on even more races. So who knows if he'll get time to run the late model next year? We'll see, but hoping we get to see him here in the off season, the winter.
Yeah, and speaking of that high limit stuff, we did see a little teaser that came out about an hour ago before we started filming this podcast. Supposed to be an announcement for high limit tomorrow. Not sure what that's going to be. We haven't really gotten any information on that, but hoping it's something interesting. I'm sure it will be something interesting. I don't know if it's going to be some schedule news or what, but the high limit and all star stuff already seeming to ramp up a little bit early. I think for what we expected. I mean, it's November 6th as we're recording this today, so excited for that and really a big off season ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only guess. That's the guess most people are assuming is a schedule release. But yeah, I'm excited. I wonder if they're gonna merge some races with All Stars or High Limit, or tack on more races, or I'm sure they'll go to some different tracks this year. They're probably not gonna do the same exact schedule. But the events, they just turned out so well. The fan turnout was very good. You can definitely see them repeating most of them, but. Yeah, I mean, we'll see tomorrow. It sucks we couldn't get it today, and tell everyone listening to the podcast, about the news. But yeah, looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think kind of before we started recording the podcast, I was planning on telling everybody on the podcast how we plan to be back on here in 2 weeks, taking a week break next week with no racing planned for Kyle Larson. But depending on how this news is for High Limit, we'll have to see if we're gonna need to come back for an emergency podcast next week to kind of talk about all of that stuff. But if it's not something super major, I do expect with no racing coming up this week for NASCAR or really anything else expected for Kyle Larson, I think our next podcast will be on probably Monday, November 20th, which is 2 weeks from today, to kind of recap Placerville. That'll be right after Placerville and kind of going into some of those other midget races out in California. We're still not sure if Kyle's going to be running Merced or Ventura. Trying to get information on that. If we do get information on that, we'll keep everybody up to date on all of our social medias. And this is a really important time to stay up to date with us on social media, as we're going to kind of shift to this podcast schedule of maybe once every couple weeks or on an as needed basis. So whenever there's news and stuff like that, we'll have it still all over our Twitter, all over our Instagram and Facebook, wherever you can find us, Larsonland. Make sure to follow us.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine running a page of any other driver. I mean, at least Larson he races other forms of racing. He keeps the news rolling, but Thankfully, doesn't just do NASCAR, and we can keep providing news and post to everyone following our page. So, so it just sucks. It's kind of depressing. The NASCAR season came to an end, and we couldn't go off on a super good note. But like I said, it's a season to be proud of, and we had a great season adjusting to the next gen, and proving that we can win. And we definitely left a lot of wins on the table. So hopefully we'll be in a much better position next year. And I'm excited for it, and excited for the dirt news coming up. It's definitely going to be a very, very, news heavy season. I mean, between all the dirt racing and, just the Indy 500 news alone with Indy and testing the car and everything before the race. So just a ton of news surrounding Larson, and really excited to cover it. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm stoked for 2024. I know that this year didn't end necessarily the way we wanted, but right now you can see the win tally on the bottom left of your screen if you're watching on YouTube. We're at 20 wins right now. The season 2023 not completely over for Larson, with some more dirt stuff on the horizon, but 20 wins, a pretty good mark. I think that yeah, like you said, there were some that were left on the table here and there that you kind of want back. And I think Larson definitely knows that. He kind of said in his interviews that after the race that, he knows where he needs to improve next year, and he's excited to get back to work in 2024. And with Indianapolis coming up too, I mean, that's something also really big to look forward to. So if you don't have anything else, Dylan, I think that's pretty much all we have for the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the season finale here. We might have a few podcasts here and there, but this is the last main podcast of the year. So looking forward to season 3 of the podcast, episode 76. Didn't think we'd make it this far, but without everyone's support, we definitely couldn't have done that. And thanks everyone for the support as always on social media. And hopefully we get a lot of racing news to cover in this off season, so all the pages can stay active and everyone can stay up to date with anything. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Just want to thank everyone for the support, and I guess we'll see you in a few weeks. Maybe it just depends on the podcast schedule and the racing schedule. But yeah, it's been fun. Excited for 2024.
Absolutely. So like you said, Dylan, we'll be back here as of now on November 20th to recap the USAC National Midget Race at the Placerville Speedway, the Hangtown 100. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow our podcast so you do not miss a thing. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.